Hi everyone. In this live stream, we are going to create different kinds of things with help of CSS. Different tricks and tips we will use here to design different kinds of UI. I think let's in this video first let's create a grid background. So here let's grid.html, create bz.html. So here I'm just taking HTML and here let's just style. Let's keep the background black. And in this before, let's just use linear gradient background is equal to linear gradient, and today here we have to take two linear gradient. One is for horizontal lines and one for vertical lines. So for the horizontal lines we will set the direction to the right, and we will take white color 1 pixel and transparent. And the second linear gradient will be for the vertical direction, but here we will set it like bottom. Let's open it with live server. Okay, let's set HTML background to the black. So nothing is visible here. Linear gradient, okay. Background. Let's just inspect what's happening here. If I inspect this to right. Okay, let's first create just simple linear gradient. Okay, there is no height, that's why I think it's happening. So I have to give minimum height of 100 bh. And we get this background. And now what I have to do here, so on the right direction, to right, here we have to set the background size so that we can reduce the box size. Currently it is the single box which is going to this large. So here we will set the background size 20 pixel 20 pixel. So now you can see this is created like this, and now we have to limit it to 1 pixel. Now you can see this gradient is created. Now what we have to do, just reduce the opacity of this just give it a 10% opacity, and here also just make the 10% opacity. Now you can see this type of gradient is achieved, and we can reduce much. Let's make it common, like grid color, and use a variable here instead of modifying the multiple values. So here what we will use grid color, and here also grid color. Now we can just edit the single variable and it will be reflected to both places. So you can see it looks nice. One more thing, here we can reset the CC so that this margin is clear. So here what we can do, margin is equal to 0, padding 0, box size in border box. Okay, and now you can see this get background is created. Now one more things, let's keep the constant grid size so that we can change it easily. Grid size 20 pixel, and just use the variable here. Now if I change it to 40 pixel, you can see the grid size is increased. As per our preference, we can reduce this, and even if you want to change this color, you can change this. Okay, it is vanished. You can see. Now let's create the dot background. So for that we will just change it to the radial gradient. And now if you see, we will have to change it to circle at center, and here we will give the color let's change it first to the white. Now you can see this dot background is achieved. So if you want to create the dot gradient background, you can use the radial gradient, and if you want to convert the grid lines, you can just change it to the linear gradient. And I think size is bigger, so we can reduce the grid size to 20 pixel. And if you want more transparency or reduce the brightness of this white dot, we can reduce the opacity of white color. Just make it 50% opacity. So it is reduced here. If you want more blur dot color, you can reduce the opacity more. You can see, and this was used here. I can show you This is the portfolio website. I have used this grid background here. This is the portfolio website, which is just created in HTML and CSS only. No JavaScript is used here. Just this much JavaScript is used to just animate this revealing animation while scrolling. But this is optional. You can just rely on the CSS animation. And this is responsive as well. If I show you, you can see this is responsive. This we can change to the single column in mobile. So for that, I think we will have to increase this width. We can just increase this part.